Now, the shield now covering the old Chernobyl reactor is the product of decades of international cooperation. But in a single night, that vision of cooperation, it was shattered, wasn't it?
Yeah. Take a look at this. It's 2 a.m. on the 14th of February. A Russian drone hits the new Safe Confinement. It's the setting inner parts of it on fire and rendering it almost useless. It undid the work of thousands of engineers and has once again put Europe in danger of radioactive dust clouds. Well, please say we can speak now to Fred Mills, founder of YouTube's largest construction channel, the B1M, who's done an excellent video all about this particular instance. Fred, morning to you. Thanks so much for coming in. Probably should just start with that containment shelter and just the feat of engineering that's taken to have that in place to try and protect Chernobyl and protect the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extraordinary structure, €2 billion spent on this, and a huge international collaboration of experts and engineers coming together to make that happen. This thing is enormous. I think because there's nothing really around Chernobyl, you can't really get a sense of the scale. You could put it over the Colosseum in Rome and it would cover the Colosseum.
No way!
Yeah. And the other extraordinary thing is because of the radioactive activity around Reactor 4, they actually built this some distance away on wheels and then slid the thing into place. It's the largest moving man-made object in history on Earth. I mean, just an extraordinary feat of engineering.
So just take us back to when the drone hit. Talk to us a bit about the damage and, I guess, moving forward, what it all means.
Yeah, and I think that it was a moment of, I mean, there's been a lot of moments throughout the Ukraine war where a lot of us have gasped at the television about what's happening, but that really was one of them. It is beyond belief that something like that could happen. The new Safe Confinement is an extremely advanced system. It's not just a shell, not just a shed. It's actually an air pressure system. What you see, there's actually two roofs maintaining air pressure around the reactor. When that was punctured with this fire, the fire that lasted more than 10 days, a lot of that radioactive material came out of the reactor. What you have to remember is, as bad as Chernobyl was 40 years ago, 95% of the dangerous material is still in the reactor. What we did here as humanity was basically put a big lid on one of our biggest problems. What Russia did on Valentine's Day 2005 was puncture that lid.
Incredible. So there's a hole in it. Can it be patched?
They are working to patch it, but it's not an easy thing. You have to remember this is a state-of-the-art piece of building material. It's several hundred metres up in the air. It would be a complicated construction project at the best of times. You put that in a radioactive fallout zone, it gets a lot harder. You put it in a war zone, it's next to impossible. So it's an extraordinarily complex construction project. They're working on getting design work, they're doing design work now. They're doing design work now, working to get construction up and running by end of 2027. They hope to have it patched by 2030, but it's not a quick fix.
No. Do you think it will get repaired? I mean, the Ukrainians, they're looking after the site at the moment. The challenges during a war must be so huge.
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be repaired. This isn't a question of can we do it, can't we do it. We have to pull this off and make it happen. I think what we mustn't forget is that nuclear radiation and the material in there doesn't discriminate. It doesn't pick Ukrainians, Russians or Belarusians. It will affect everybody. So by targeting this site, which to me is tantamount to a war crime, is going to harm many, many people far beyond this conflict zone.
So look, what's the process then from here? You said that they're thinking about a patch. I mean, is there a world in which they have to just redo the whole containment?
They've looked at that. They've looked at wheeling the whole thing back and redoing it. That may be where we get to. What the team is saying right now is that it can be patched in situ, but it takes time and care and attention to detail. For all those reasons I said, it's a nuclear fallout site, the site of the worst nuclear disaster in human history, and now it's in the middle of one of the world's hottest conflicts.
Chernobyl keeps demanding our attention, doesn't it? 40 years on. Fred, what do you still think we haven't learned about this site?
I think when you look at Chernobyl, and there's been obviously a lot of television documentaries and dramas about it, people think it's this place that's frozen in time, but it's not. It's very active and it has to be managed. What we did with this extraordinary new Safe Confinement project was put a state-of-the-art lid on the problem. We've now cracked that lid. And as humanity, we've got to find a way to solve that problem. This, as I said, is not an option of should we do it, it's a question of we have to do it, how do we make it happen?
Of course, the reason we're talking about it this weekend is because it's the anniversary of the disaster tomorrow. The fascinating thing about Chernobyl, and you and I were talking about this off air, is that despite the fallout, despite the disaster that happened back in '86, flora and fauna has started to return to the area.
It has, yeah, and there's some very eerie footage of the abandoned parts of Pripyat, which is the town near Chernobyl, where you've got plants growing through old swimming pools, you've got wolves walking along school corridors. It is eerie stuff, and that's, I think, why it's so fascinating. People are fascinated by this site that for many parts was frozen in time. You've still got rooms that are left exactly as they were 40 years ago. But the site itself, as I said, incredibly active, incredibly live.
Is the design, sorry, Leah, but just as someone who builds, or did in a former life, build these kind of big structures, was there an element of sort of human hubris about some of the thoughts about Chernobyl and about the way that they can manage the risk, and obviously the disaster when it actually happened, there were mistakes made? Yeah,
I don't think it was underestimated. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the original confinement that was put in place immediately after the disaster in the summer and kind of autumn of 1986 was a very quick, urgent patch. That was never going to be good enough. It was never going to last that long. The new Safe Confinement, I think, really for me speaks to the best of human nature. It shows what we can do when we put aside our differences. We bring in experts from around the world and we collaborate to make something happen for the greater good. What that Russian drone strike did on Valentine's Day 2005 was set us back and show exactly why these kind of conflicts are so damaging, not just to the people involved, but to the wider global community as well.
Fred, thanks so much. Really, really fascinating. You've got 2 new subscribers in the Beletto household. You need to. Thank you.
Awesome, Good day. Thank you.